EXA_League_Racing is now live. Streaming 1 franc 24, EXA X3 Season 8 Round 2 Jeddah.
Hello everybody and welcome to EXA Season 8 X3 Division, here for round 2 at Jeddah. I am your commentator, Half Lap Harry, also known as Harrison. And I will be taking you through this evening's proceedings. Thank God I didn't have my mic muted that time. After an enthralling round 1 in Australia, your current championship standings: Dylan Hummel leads from Marcel P2 and Jamie in P3. In your constructors, McLaren have a 9-point lead over Alpine in P2, who are joint with Ferrari on 20 points apiece. But back to the here and now then. We've got a few people on laps. Or on out laps rather. Who will be the first one to take us around this Jeddah Corniche circuit? Will be the Haas of Realm. Of course, this is being a relatively new circuit on the calendar, 2021 being its debut. Fast and flowing sections of this Jeddah Corniche circuit. There's supposedly 27 corners here. Whether you count half of these as corners, up to you, but officially it does have 27 corners, the most on the calendar. Good old street track, of course, the quickest street track on the calendar. Nearly as fast as Monza, I don't think it's far off. As you weave your way through walls that are perilously close at these speeds. We are about to go on to the first lap of the session here, brought to you by Kalig in the Kick. Take it away as we head down to turn 1. Hard on the brakes, very easy to miss your apex there, cuts it beautifully. Accelerating hard through turn 3 up to the ever so tricky turn 4. Don't want to catch the barrier on the inside, because that is a bye-bye wheel if you do. And then the corners come at you thick and fast. I can't name all of them. I can't name all the numbers rather. Goodness me, I can't speak. Don't do a Mick Schumacher on the exit as you head up towards the long sweeping left-hander, banked of course, which helps with the grip, helps the car really get into the apex of the corner with more speed. Up to the first of the high-speed chicanes, right and then left. Don't tap the wall on the exit. He's done nicely there, but he's used a lot of ERS. He's used an awful lot of ERS, has Kalig. So we head up to the second of the high-speed chicanes. This one faster than the first. Just missed his apex there. Bit squirrely on the exit, perhaps not the wrist ability he'd want. I think for his second lap he'll be looking to use less ERS because he's got nothing left. He's got nothing left in the tank, as Kalig. As he comes up to the line now to set the banker. What will the time be? The 1 minute 29.768 for the kick driver. Next across the line will be Kev in the RB. Can he beat the 29.7? Yes, he can. Goes up to 28.9, quickly displaced by Mikey on a 28.7. And displaced again by his teammate, Soul Demon. Goes 4/10 quicker than Mikey, 28.3. Next across the line, Rio, 28.5, one of the quicker drivers from last week. So expect him to be up there again. And then we have a little gap. Marcel finishing his lap. A lot of these drivers are not having much ERS when they reach this final corner. Not saying it's wrong, just something I'm going to point out. As he now comes towards the line in the Alpine. And goes P6, potentially looking for a bit more there. Up next will be the McLaren of Dylan, our championship leader, and he goes P4, just behind his teammate Ellen. And Epico goes to the top. 127.9, the first man into the 127s. Another 4/10 clear, 4.5 clear of Soul Demon in P2. And has he already stamped his authority on this session? 4/10 clear, that's a quick time as well. That's no shabby time. Snoo is invalidated. We'll go over to the second Alpine of KMO as he rounds the final corner. Got a bit more ERS left in the tank. He comes up towards the timing beam. Goes P11, the slowest of all confirmed competitive times as it stands. If I bring up the delta a minute, the yellow in the middle sector, that's probably just someone getting out of the way. Epico, 4.5 clear of Soul Demon in P2. For those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with a Formula 1 qualifying, 4.5 is an absolute age.
Raven West is our season 4 X2 champ. Nice seeing him back.
Yeah, nice seeing the returning champs back, of course, in the form of Raven West. I will keep an eye on him. Meeks goes P11. Speaking of, we'll ride on board through the end of the first sector. What's the split saying? I think I might have missed a split. Nope, 31.9. 31.9 for Raven. So the pressure's on then. The reigning champion, as he approaches the first of the two high-speed chicanes. Nicely hit the apex there, avoids the wall.
Deserve to be so high up.
Well, you say that, if you can put the lap down, you have every right to be up there, Ellen. Currently residing in P4 and is 128.6. Do you think there's much more in that lap?
Ruin so ass.
Again, not much ERS left. What I'm noticing with a lot of these drivers as they approach the final corner. Not saving ERS for that boost to the line. Dylan's had a blunder with the wings. Well, stamping his authority on the season. Missed round one, but Raven West is back and with a vengeance. 127.861. White Josh is starting his lap, so ADS will be the next one. Oh, that was close to the wall from the RB. This next corner coming up requires so much commitment. Hits the apex nicely, keeps it in 6th. As he accelerates down the back straight, or one of the many back straights, on this Jeddah Corniche circuit. Towards the final corner. All too easy to throw your lap away on the 27th of 27 corners. Again, up to your discretion whether there are 27 corners. Up to the line. Up to P9, just ahead of his teammate. The DRB rivalry will be taking fold. Snoo will be starting his lap. Josh is getting a tow from his teammate, although that may have compromised him. I personally would not want the car ahead of me going into that corner, but we'll see what the time says at the end of it. Josh now approaches the long left, accelerates up towards the line. He's left DRS left. Where will this put the Williams? Up to P6 or 128.5. Few places shy of his teammate, but I'd imagine he'll be pretty pleased with that. Billy Misu yet to set a time. There's a few drivers yet to set a time. Oh, I thought that was going round then. Very slidey there through the final left, or right rather. Honestly, I could have tried remembering corner numbers, but there's so many of them, I probably get confused anyway, so we'll just call it the fast chicane. Up to the line he comes, goes P11. Respectable time. Billy and Raven run on cockpit cam, there's no way. Fair enough. Fair enough. I applaud you. Especially Raven. To run on cockpit cam and be that fast, fair enough. Is now Realm finishes his lap. Only P18 for the Haas driver. He will really need to be looking for an improvement on that second run. Currently 6/10 from the next car. So that leaves two then. This at a time. A lot of these drivers will be on their second runs now. I missed Snoo going second. That's one hell of a time as well. Fair play to the Ferrari driver. Dylan then, championship leader of course, winner of round one. Got some work to do. Obviously Jeddah is a very different type of circuit to Australia. So it may not suit his driving style as much as backs out of that one, I'd imagine. You really don't want to be all over that curve, as Mick Schumacher found out a few years ago. Who's near the end of their lap? Luigi Sven? No, he's starting his lap. Chaz will be finishing his lap. Where can he put the Ferrari? Up to P9. Ahead of both McLarens. I think he'll be happy with that lap, considering his pace from Australia. Of course, we're getting to the stage now where drivers really have to think about whether they're going to stick with their times that they're on, or whether they bail for a new set of soft tyres at another shot at glory. It's a fairly long lap here, 127.8. It's not like your Hungarys, your Monacos, your Austrias, where you can afford to do multiple laps. Because you simply just don't have the time.
Right, in washed.
You're down in P11 currently. It's not all over yet, there's still time. Who is on a lap? Ellen exits the final corner.
Right before the race.
She goes up to P8. So an improvement for the McLaren up to a 28.5. I don't know what's happened to Chaz, but he's managed to get himself a 5-place penalty. Let me check race director a minute. Few invalidations. Oh, he's collided with Epic. Chaz. Gotta be careful, man. Gotta be careful. Rio starting his lap. Sol was invalidated. So we will go to Meeks as he approaches the final sector in the Red Bull. A variety of setups being used by these drivers potentially, depending on whether you want to prioritise straight line speed, because there are an awful lot of straights here, or if maybe you want to prioritise the first sector, the technical sector where there's a lot of downforce required, as Meeks improves on his time, not his position, unfortunately remains P18. We'll cut to Epic in the Williams, who has just had that collision with Chaz. I don't know details about it, I don't know whose fault it was, but for now Chaz has a 5-place penalty as he approaches the final of 3 DRS zones on this Jeddah circuit. Could be 4. They could make it 4, but then it would be a bit overpowered, even though it is already overpowered. Up to the line Epic goes. This will be his final effort. A 127.658 becomes the new provisional pole time to beat. Rio Harris, he's limbering up for his final shot at it. They may be going for another out lap. Back-to-back warm-up laps for the Red Bull. Anyone who's in the pits now is not going to make it round for another run unless they really step on it. So all of the people who you see out now are your contenders for pole. Oh, that's an invalidation for Sol. Might just have time to go again as long as he's got the fuel. But not optimal for the Aston Martin. Billy Cockpit Cam Misu will be next. Cannot believe people use cockpit cam at this level. Got a bit of traffic ahead of him. Could be used for a tow in the form of Calig, as long as he gets out of the way, which he just about does so. Billy will be looking to improve on his P16 currently on a 28.9. Haven't seen the split. Improves minorly, goes up to P14, so a couple of positions gained. We'll swap to Snoo, who is on his final run, currently residing in P3. Oh, that was right on the limit there. Epico's qualifying is done. He will watch from the garage. Nothing more he can do. The gauntlet's set. Can any of these 19 drivers knock him off that top spot? It's going to take one hell of a lap to beat it, but oh my god, there's another Alpine just stopped there. Flashbacks to round 1 for those of you who were here last week. Meme of the season potentially. Snoo is just under 1.5 tenths up. Down the second of the back straights. He's going to need one hell of a final corner if he's to trouble Epic's time, but I've seen stranger things happen here in F1 and EXA. Towards the line then, can he knock him off? No, he can't. Goes P2 for now. We'll swap to Raven, who is really pushing the limits there. Through the second of the fast, left and right. Up towards the final corner. Will the Season 7 champion reclaim his throne at the top of the grid? No, he won't. Raven remains P3. Couldn't quite put the lap together. Rio Harris couldn't put the lap together either. Goes 1/1000th slower than his previous run. Ellen improves her time, but not her position. 8/1000ths behind her teammate Dylan. And that is your qualifying. Apart from Chaz's incident with Epic, that was a very incident-free Jeddah qualifying, which is, one, a props to the driving quality of these drivers here in X3, and two, well, I don't know how none of them have crashed, because there's plenty of corners here where even if you just misjudge it a bit, just tap the inside wall, that can be your qualifying over in a flash.
Race all to play for.
Under 5 broken wings lap 1. Under 5. Ooh. I'm going to say under. I reckon that these guys can keep it under 5. They have the driving quality.
Over and I'll be one of Enrolli.
Race director in case any of the stewards need it. Oh, maybe there was a crash. Not sure what happened with those two, didn't notice it, but maybe there was a little incident, as Charles Leclerc would put it. There will now be a brief pause for the drivers to put on their setups and strategy. Or change their setups, whatever they can change, which isn't much. And then we will be into this one. And I can guarantee you now, it'll be action right from the get-go. 3 DRS zones, very long straights. We're going to have like a 20-man DRS train. It's going to be insane. I will try my best to keep up with you. And keep up with the racing. I probably won't catch it all, but cut me a bit of slack. It's going to be chaos. As we prepare for lights out now.
I full on expect mayhem for 25
I'm sure it's not far away.
Like 7 finishes.
25 laps of Jeddah await us. It'll be a race of attrition potentially. Lights out and away we go. I don't know what this camera angle is, I've never seen it before. But Epic leads into turn 1, maintains his advantage. Chaos reigns supreme behind as he pulls away. Will they all make it through turn 1 and 2? Yes they will, just about everyone has survived. There's 1 milestone completed. Epic has absolutely checked out already after 4 corners. Already over 1 second ahead of Snoo. What a start for the Williams. As we end sector 1, everyone's just about in single file now apart from Rio Harris and Nick. Lovely move there on the inside of the banking. Oh, there's a yellow at the back. ADS has had an incident. Oh, that's unfortunate for the RB. The first one to have an incident. There's no front wing damage, but it'll be a long way back from here for the RB. Into turn 22, I believe it is, which has been tightened since its initial profiling in 2021. This track used to be even faster, I just realised. God knows how that happened. But as we approach the end of lap 1, Epico leads from Snoo in P2, our Season 7 champion in P3, followed by, well, the rest of the swarm of angry bees. That's what I'm going to call them. Everyone starting on the mediums, apart from Realm and Luigi Spence, near the back, looking to go long. Potentially been another incident down at turn 1. Plenty of drivers falling through the field. DRS, of course, is enabled 1 lap after the race start. And currently we have the top 8 in that DRS train. If Khaled can just creep back into that DRS, we could have a 19-car DRS train, would you believe? As towards the rear of the field, Dylan, Ellen and Nick have lost a lot of time, potentially being caught up in an incident at turn 1. Didn't see the incident myself, but we're right on board with our championship leader as he aims to make progress back up this order. Overtakes 1. Will he overtake 2? As his teammate lets him pass. P16 to P14 there on the straight for Dylan. Is there more takings? Down towards the final corner. 3 for 3. Not quite, thinks better of it. And he will now try and prepare a move for the upcoming lap. Then to turn 1. Raven retakes P2 from Snoo. Rio becomes the first driver to pick up a track limits time penalty here this afternoon. I can bet my house he will not be the last, as there are a fair few places around this Jeddah circuit where you can exceed track limits. One of them being on the exit of that corner where Mick Schumacher had his massive qualifying crash. And I'm sure many of you have exceeded track limits yourself. Oh, I heard a front wing. That didn't sound good. I find it weird that when you're looking from the spectator view, you just hear the collision, you don't actually see it. You're just like, oh, there goes another front wing. Yeah, maybe the steward's going to have a look at that one then if it is an instant penalty. But he will have to keep his nose clean for the rest of the race regardless. The top 3 then have broken away from White Josh, Rio, Soul and Co. Well, I say and Co. The company is rather far back. 3.5 seconds they've lost. So maybe it was battling, maybe there was an incident. Oh my god, there's a car in the air. Chaz is in the air. There's been a massive pile-up at the final corner involving 3 cars. Chaz, Meeks and Ellen. What on earth have I just witnessed as Chaz, quite rightfully, and Ellen peel into the pit lane? What a crash. How is that not a safety car? 1. And who said they could defy the laws of physics? Because Chaz's car was in the air as he boxes for a new set of hard tyres and will try and go to the end of this race. Well, Jeddah can bite, can't it? We all knew it could. We all expected incidents as the drivers weave their way between the concrete walls. Amidst all that, Raven has taken the lead. We missed the overtake, but the reigning champ then back into a spot that he's perhaps slightly more familiar with, let's say, as he retakes P1 from Epic. Snoo right up behind the diffuser of the Williams. Just behind this battle, which we will follow down towards turn 1, comes White in the sister Williams car, Rio and Soul. Behind them comes Billy, who, again, no idea how he runs cockpit cam, but he does. Kev, Mikey, Marcel.
Billy made some nice progress.
Little gap back to Dylan, Luigi, Sven and Nick. And KMO. And then another gap back to Kalig, Realm and ADS, who of course had that spin early on. And then the 3 that were involved in... Oh, okay. The rather catastrophic crash, let's say, at the final corner as Ellen comes in again. back up front though. And I fear this may turn into a game of, no, you go first, no, after you. As being at the front of a DRS train, as I'm sure many of you are aware, rather makes you a sitting duck, as proven here by Raven. You don't have access to the DRS, your opponent does. They can gain, I'll say 8 to 10 mile an hour, don't quote me on that, I don't know the exact figure, of free boost, and they will literally just glide straight past you, and there is frankly not much you can do about it other than dump your entire battery. There's Snoo there, perhaps just running outside of the track limits. Track limits will be a key deciding factor here in Jeddah as he runs over them again, and that's what happens, I'm afraid. Snoo, our race leader currently, becomes, well, one of many to join the track limit penalty club, followed by Dylan down in P11. And when you're following someone that has a penalty, it really does just make life easier for you, because you know that you don't have to overtake them, obviously assuming that it's not an instant penalty and it doesn't get removed. You don't have to overtake the car you're following. You can just sit in DRS, as Epic is doing, for the rest of the race if he wanted to. He has no obligation to make him move on that Ferrari, as long as he stays within the 3-second gap. Speaking of gaps, look who's caught up. We now go from a 3-man DRS train up to a 6-man DRS train, as Rio, White Josh and Soul Demon have decided they want a piece of the action. The yellow at the final corner again. Is this for Meeks? No, it's not. It's for ADS. Oh, and he's spun. As he's gone to spin the car around, he's hit the wall. Gotta be careful when you're spinning the car around, as he may have been fine then. I don't know if he had damage before the incident, but being his second spin of the race, a race to forget for ADS, it's safe to say, and he'll be looking forward to the next round, wherever the next round may be. If someone could enlighten me, that'd be very nice. Back up front, Soul Demon follows very closely behind White Josh as they head round the supposed corners, quote unquote. They don't exist to an F1 car, of course, but they count them as corners anyway. Of course, a lot of these drivers, or most of these drivers, will be following the one-stop strategy, assuming we don't get any safety cars. There's another yellow flag. This time it is Meeks. That's a horrible place to lose it. That's the fast left and right, and he's got half a front wing missing. He is so lucky that he is not out of this race. That is an incredibly high-speed section of track. But he will for definite need a new wing, as I'm sure you can see with your own eyes. There isn't much left of it. Riding on board with Raven and the Mercedes, just biding his time. Of course, we're only on lap 8, not even at a third distance yet, or maybe just about. Knows that there's a long race ahead. There's still a whole round of pit stops to go, and as a championship winner, of course, I'm sure he will have the mentality to know that there's no need to rush. He's fine just sitting here, maintaining his position, maintaining his battery, and perhaps just waiting for the opportune moment to pull the pin. As he does so now, as Epico comes in from P1 to go onto the hard tyres. Those mediums haven't lasted very long, I must say. Only 8 laps.
That's very early.
Which does leave him with a 16 lap stint to the end of this one. Short-term gain, long-term pain may be the motto for Epico's race. The undercut he'll receive from the new tyres may bring him out ahead of this group when they do eventually pit. But those hard tyres, surely by the end of this one, they're not going to have much life left in them at all. Now, do this top group, do they respond immediately? Do they attempt to stay directly with Epico? Or do they go longer? Go for the overcut. Hope that by extending this first medium stint, they can keep the life in their tyres and they can close back up? Or do they box now and go for the same strategy as Epico? I think it's the latter, as is everyone about to pile in. I believe they are. Rio takes the lead, followed by Sol. I still think this is very early, but they clearly feel the need to cover him off. Everyone will go onto the hard tyres. Very, very busy pit lane here. It's a very slow pit lane here in Jeddah. Only 37 miles an hour. We'll see if anyone gets caught out by the low speed limit. They come back out into the race. Epico's lost out. The undercut has not worked at all for Epico. He was P1 when he came in. Now he is a net P3. So those mediums clearly still had life left in them. These guys won't know this because they can't see back down that far. But maybe for Rio, Sol, Dylan, Marcel, Kev and Nick, maybe the play is to go longer. Because as we've seen, Epico really struggled on warm-up. And also the mediums just still had grip left in them. As we approach the end of lap 10, Rio has a 1.9 second advantage over Sol. Continues on. Sol, however, will come in. Dylan, Marcel and Kev will be the next group up. And 2 of the 3 of them come in. Kev continues on. Raven, Snoo and Dylan will retake some of those positions up to P5. Of course, they're a net P1. But these tyres on Raven, Snoo's and Epic's cars, they're already going to be at least a few laps old when Rio comes in. And that might not sound like much. But in a race that's so closely contested, drivers are so close on pace, that could make all the difference as Nick very sensibly and strategically moves out of the way of his teammate, tries to hold back the Ferrari. Don't know how clean that was, but he's done his job. Will he defend the inside? How hard will he try and keep the Ferrari behind? All the time this is costing Snoo times, costing him DRS. This is horrendous luck for the Ferrari, as the Mercedes still has DRS. Will he go for the dive? He's got to go for the dive. He goes for it. Ooh, just about gets it stopped on the apex. There's minor contact. The Mercedes hits the wall on the outside. The Williams is coming through as well. It's all kicking off here in X3. It's down the inside. The Williams on the Ferrari into turn 1. The Ferrari cannot catch a break. It's up towards turn 4. He's managed to defend somehow. Could maybe just have a little bit of a reset. But Raven potentially could be checking out here as Snoop picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's broken the DRS to Luigi's Fen, who is on the old hard tyres, will be going long. There's no blue flags. Nothing to help the drivers behind overtake this kit car. And Raven, all the time, is scampering away. Snoo will be absolutely itching, chomping at the bit to try and get past the Sauber if he's to have any shot at taking the net P1 back. Of course he has penalties, but P1 on track. Epico follows him through crucially. If you get stuck behind this kit car through sector 1, it could be curtains for your race. Could be absolutely curtains. Josh knows that. He goes for the move down the inside. Luigi's Fen doesn't really fight it. The Red Bull of Rio goes round the outside. Just about maintain as one. As they go into sector 1, Rio runs wide. Rio runs wide. That could potentially be another warning. And these warnings will stack up if you are potentially looking at getting some removed. And I guess I could kind of breathe for a bit. Whew. But here we go again then. It's like every lap is just constant overtakes, action. I'm all here for it. My voice will for sure hate me afterwards, but I don't care. This is brilliant as Meeks retires in the pit lane. He's done for the day after that monster crash and a couple of spins. I don't blame him. As the two Williams now find themselves P3 and P4, which is brilliant for them, potentially in the constructors. I can't do the maths quickly enough, but it may see them go up to P1 in the standings then, because both McLaren cars are, well, P9 and P19, so rather low down the field, not scoring many points. And there isn't actually that many rounds in the season, I don't think. Maybe 10, correct me if I'm wrong. So every race really does matter here, as they have managed to claw themselves back into DRS range of Raven. So Raven had his piece for a few laps, had time to calm down, potentially time to just, well, save his tyres if he wasn't pushing like a madman. So that could be all he needs, just that little bit of edge on tyre grip, as Ellen becomes the second retirement of this race. Unfortunately, she was also involved in incidents and was the second car involved in that multi-car pile-up at the final corner. Snoo retakes P1. Rio down the inside of Josh. Should be a drag race down towards turn 1. Both of them will have DRS. Oh my goodness. I thought the collision physics there were going to create an absolutely enormous crash and put him into the pit wall, but luckily they managed to pull out of that one. Further back in the pack, Marcel, Billy and Mikey battling over P10. Marcel with no penalties, so he is currently net P10. Say net P10. He is P10 because he's not quite within Realm's penalty. And he comes up towards the banked left-hander. I think he might be turn 10. That's my guess. Again, there's so many corners on this track. I can say any number and it could probably be correct. Up to the first with the blind chicanes. Really over that curve there, bottoming out the car. Not where you want to be in terms of your racing line. We look back towards Mikey. Here we're looking to get a good exit out of turn 22, round 23. 24 and 25, you know, they don't exist. 26 is somewhere as well. Not quite close enough as the Aston Martin. And he'll perhaps be locking and loading to try again next lap. As Realm finally pits, along with Nick, potentially trying a hard soft. A very audacious strategy there for Nick. We'll see if it pays off. Lap 16 here in EXA X3 Season 8 Round 2. Snoo is your current on-track race leader. Half a second clear of Raven, who is your net race leader, due to Snoo's track limit penalties. These two are followed by the two Williams cars of Epic and Josh, who are scoring brilliant points in their constructors battle. Then comes Rio Harris, Soul Demon and Dylan, our current championship leader, who is rather on a damage limitation mission. Mentioned earlier how he changed his setup just before the race. And as league racers know, that is a very, very risky strategy to be playing, to have an untested setup. Or one that you don't know how it's going to work. He's rather in no man's land at the moment, ahead of Marcel and Mikey, who are doing battle. Luigi Sven up next on the mediums. We'll be closing in on these two. We'll go back to the top 5, who are absolutely nose to tail. Couldn't be any more nose to tail. If you lined up 5 F1 cars in a line, you wouldn't be much closer than that. As they come round the top of the circuit now, just one big long DRS train though, and already these drivers will be thinking about, where do I want to be in the train? Because if you're Josh at this moment, yes, you don't have penalties, but there's drivers ahead of you who don't have penalties, so you need to try and start working your way forward into a position that you may want to be in and be profitable from, as we're nearly 3 wide into the final corner. But unless you're second or third in the train, as they go 2 by 2 nearly into turn 1, there really isn't much you can do. Really is not much you can do. Raven knows this, of course, and he will be wanting to defend from the cars behind. Won't say exact numbers because people are watching, but compared to the guys down the rest of the order, I'll quickly flick through. A lot of them on low ERS, compared to these top 5, who have all been a lot smarter with their ERS usage and strategy, and can now think about perhaps unleashing an attack in the closing stages of this race. No safety cars, of course, despite some rather large crashes, which I am surprised about. There'll be 7 laps to go at the end of this one. I'll quickly bring up the penalties for you. 6 seconds for Snoo, 6 seconds for Rio, pending anything being removed, would just rather take them out of this top battle. And Raven, who does not have any penalties, will be using these 2 cars to his advantage to keep that buffer between him and the 2 Williams of Epico and Josh. But it doesn't matter if these guys overtake the cars ahead. Raven is the target, and if they can't get past the blockers, well then P2 will be their best bet. It will still be a brilliant result for Williams. A brilliant result for the Williams team, a P2 and a P3. But perhaps not quite the win that they would have been sorting after, as Callig becomes the 3rd retirement in the pit lane. Oh, that's an audacious place to go for a move. You do not go for a move into that chicane and expect to come out unscathed. Glad that Epico backed out there. These 5 have pulled 5.5 seconds on Soul Demon. So these really are the creme de la creme of the X3 drivers in this race. Such closely backed together, as Raven has fallen to P3, interestingly. Does just have to be wary as the two Williams have had an incident. The 2 Williams have come to blows. I'm not sure what happened there, but have they both potentially sealed their fate in this one by having an inter-team crash? Josh has just managed to claw himself back into the gap, but Epico's missing his front end plate. Epico's missing his front end plate, and that is most likely the end of his challenge for not only the win potentially. If the damage is bad enough, could it see him off the podium and falling into the clutches of Soul Demon? We go right on board with Raven, looking up ahead to Rio and Snoo side by side. How aggressive is Raven going to be into turn 1? Sticks just behind. He knows how to close out a race. He knows what he needs to do. Knows that he needs to defend from Josh. You can't overtake through sector 1. You can't overtake through either of the fast chicanes really. And he'll be saving his ERS. He'll be saving his ERS. There's been a severe collision between Nick and somebody. I believe it was Nick and Mikey, as Mikey's lost both of them plates on his front wing.
He's very smooth with his steering. Wouldn't be a surprise if he has better tires.
Both end plates gone for Mikey. Oh, it might be a bit more than that in a minute. Careful with the walls. You'll have to limp that one back to the pit lane. No doubt there'll be a steward's investigation on that. Is Raven potentially on slightly better tyres than the two ahead of him? Rio has the freshest, and being 9 laps old. The tyre management can make up for it, and oh my goodness. Just for a moment there, Raven thought he could go for the 3-wide dive. Could have ended in a catastrophe for the top 4. But for now, they are all in the race still. All front wings intact. Someone who I will pick up on, who's had an absolute charge through the field, is Luigi Sven. Went for the alternate strategy, went from the hards to the mediums, and resides in P8. And as far as I can remember, he qualified near enough last. So, brilliant recovery drive from the kick driver. Unfortunately, 17 seconds is rather a tall order for him to catch in 4 laps. But I'm sure he'll be happy with wherever he finishes. It won't be P8 because of the penalties, but it should be P9 as it stands. So the Fantastic Five become, as Mikey's crashed, I believe Mikey's crashed in the first sector. I think it's too late for a safety car now. But the Fantastic Five become the Fantastic Four. Trying to come up with some sort of pun then. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness me. Snoo has lost it. Snoo has absolutely careered the wall. And again. What on earth has happened to Snoo? Has his wheel disconnected? As he hits the wall on the opposite side and stops? I'm not sure what's happened there. He puts it into reverse and gets going again. But a massive hit on the wall for the Ferrari of Snoo, who was on for a top 4. And that is well and truly the end of his challenge for the podium. So the Fantastic Four become the Terrific 3. There we go, there's a pun. Rio, Raven and White Josh fighting it out for the podium. Rio is all but guaranteed P3. Or maybe even P4. If he's not quick enough, because Epic is still within his penalty window. Another yellow flag in the middle sector. And I imagine that will probably be for the recovering Ferrari of Snoo. On his return then, since his title in Season 2, not Season 2, Season 7 rather, Raven has well and truly announced his return. Season 4? I thought it was Season 8. Oh, Season 4 X2, okay. It was a little while ago. Season 4 X2 champion then, re-announcing himself as a firm title contender here at X3 in Season 8. Really wants to show that he hasn't lost any of the skill, any of the prowess, any of that racing ability. And as long as he can keep ahead of White Josh, he is on course to start it in the best possible way as ADS takes fastest lap with a 1:30.1. On to the final lap then here in Jeddah. Ravens doesn't want to be messing around with DRS games if he can help it. Goes for the move down into turn 1. He'll be chucking it in, none I'd imagine, as oh my goodness me, Raven has picked up a 3-second track limits time penalty on the last lap. Oh, he was so close. Raven was so close to the perfect return. But has he thrown it all away now as they head onto the back stretch of this Jeddah Corniche circuit?
That's crazy.
He goes from a net P1 to a net P2, and all of a sudden we will ride on board with White Josh, who now knows he only has to keep it within the limits. As Chaz crashes in the first sector, but we've got bigger things to focus on. In the most unlikely of circumstances, after colliding with his teammate a few laps ago, looking down and out of it, they will round the final corner. Rio Harris will take the win on track, but your winner here in X3 is White Josh in the Williams. Congratulations, good sir. Raven will come across the line to finish P2, Rio P3, Epico P4, Dylan, very good recovery drive to P5, Soul Demon up to P6, Luigi Sven will fend off Marcel on track for P7, no he won't, Marcel gets it anyway, but a brilliant recovery drive from Luigi nonetheless. Billy Cockpit Kambisu will take P9, Kev will take P10, Nick Kirkov P12, round P13, and then we will wait for ADS to come across the line to round out the finishers. So double the amount of finishers you predicted there, Rolly.
Get stuck in the rear tire at the start of the race. I could one man.
Perhaps not as much of a race of attrition as we first thought. Still some massive crashes though. Where are we off to next? Where's round 3? Is it China? Or is it Japan? Or is it neither? I've got no idea.
Japan.
Oh, I'm not even there. I'm not even there next week. Japan is my favourite track and I'm not even going to be there. Oh. Anyway, worse things have happened. There's the official race results then. ADS takes fastest lap. As the race director, in case any of the stewards want it. My god, there's a lot of track limits warnings. There's so many warnings. But thank you from me. I have been Half Lap Harry. This has been the X3 division of EXA. And we'll be back next week for Japan. Adios and good night.